Hi all, welcome back. Before anything else, it's a fun idea if you let me know where you're watching from. Thanks. Be sure to like and subscribe. Now let's relax and get into it. The house is buzzing with laughter, the kind that echoes off the walls and fills every corner with warmth. It's our daughter's birthday, and the place is packed with family and friends. I watch as she blows out the candles on her cake, her face glowing with the joy only a child can muster. I can't help but smile. This is what life is about, isn't it? Moments like these. I glance across the room at my wife, Emily, who's laughing with a group of parents by the dining table. She looks stunning, as always, her smile bright, her eyes full of life. We've had our ups and downs like any couple, but we've built a good life together. Our routines, our shared history, they're all part of this perfect picture. But even as I stand here, surrounded by the people we care about, there's a small, nagging feeling in the back of my mind. It's been there for a while, a subtle tension between Emily and me. I can't put my finger on it, but something feels off. I shake it off, telling myself it's nothing, just the usual wear and tear of marriage. Can you grab some more drinks from the kitchen? Emily's voice cuts through my thoughts. I nod, making my way through the sea of guests. The kitchen is quieter, a momentary escape from the noise. As I open the fridge, I catch a glimpse of something in the corner of my eye. I turn and there they are. Emily and him, her coworker. He's too close, their bodies almost touching. And then it happens. She leans in, her lips brushing against his in a way that leaves no room for doubt. It's quick, but it's enough. My heart stops. I stand frozen, the drinks forgotten in my hand. This isn't happening. This can't be happening. I blink, hoping I'm seeing things. But when I look again, they're still there, still too close, still sharing a moment that should never have happened. I don't know how long I stand there, trying to process what I've just seen. The image burns into my mind, twisting the warmth I felt just moments ago into something cold, something hollow. My stomach churns as reality sets in, the perfect picture I had of my life shattering in an instant. I finally move, slipping back into the living room like nothing happened. The laughter, the joy, it all feels distant now, like it belongs to someone else. I catch Emily's eye across the room. She smiles at me, and it takes everything in me not to flinch. This changes everything. I don't know what I'm going to do, but one thing is certain, my life will never be the same after this. I can't stop thinking about what I saw in the kitchen. My mind races, replaying the moment over and over. The way Emily leaned in, the way her lips met his, it's burned into my memory. I need to confront her. I need answers. When the last of the guests finally leave, I find Emily in our bedroom, casually undressing like nothing happened. My stomach churns as I watch her. How can she act so normal? Emily, I start, my voice tight with anger I'm struggling to control. She looks at me, eyebrows raised, as if I'm disturbing her peace. What the hell was that in the kitchen? She frowns, confused, or at least pretending to be. What are you talking about? I take a step closer, feeling the rage simmering just beneath the surface. You know damn well what I'm talking about. I saw you with him, your coworker. You kissed him, Emily. Don't lie to me. There's a brief flicker of something in her eyes. Fear, maybe? But it's gone as quickly as it appeared, replaced by icy calm. You're imagining things, Mark. You've always been paranoid. Paranoid. She's used that word before. Always when she's trying to make me doubt myself. But this time, I know what I saw. Don't try to gaslight me, I snap, my voice rising. I saw you. You were kissing him. What the hell is going on? She doesn't flinch, doesn't back down. Instead, she crosses her arms and glares at me. You're pathetic, you know that? Always so insecure. If you weren't so obsessed with controlling me, maybe I wouldn't have to look elsewhere. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I stumble back, the wind knocked out of me. So, you admit it, I ask, my voice shaking. Emily just shrugs, her expression cold and unfeeling. What does it matter? You've always been weak, Mark. This marriage has been dead for years and you know it. Maybe now you'll finally do something about it. I'm reeling, the ground beneath me crumbling. I can't believe what I'm hearing. She's not just cheating. She's been planning this, pushing me to this moment. I want a divorce, I say, my voice firm despite the chaos inside me. You can pack your things and get out. I'm done. She laughs, a harsh, bitter sound. Oh, Mark, you really think it's that easy? You want to play hardball? Fine, let's do it. But I promise you, you'll regret this. She's daring me, taunting me, but I can't back down now. We'll see about that, I say, turning on my heel and leaving the room before she can see just how shaken I am. I can barely think as I walk down the stairs, heading to my office. My mind is racing, trying to figure out my next move. Divorce. The word feels heavy, final, but there's no other option now. I can't stay married to someone who would betray me like this. I sit at my desk staring blankly at the paperwork scattered across it. I need proof, something solid to use against her. And then it hits me. The security cameras. The ones I installed last year after the break-in. There's one in the kitchen. My hands are shaking as I pull up the footage on my computer, and it doesn't take long to find it. There it is, clear as day. Emily kissing that man, her hand on his chest, his on her waist. My stomach turns as I watch it, the reality of the situation settling in. I have proof. But what now? Do I confront her with it, or do I wait? My thoughts are spinning, but one thing is clear. I can't let her get away with this. She needs to pay for what she's done. The next morning I wake up early, the weight of the previous night still pressing down on me. I can't stay in this house, not with her. Not now. I need to clear my head, figure out my next steps. As I head downstairs, I hear her moving around in the kitchen. The smell of coffee wafts through the air, a scent that once brought comfort, now tainted by betrayal. I don't want to see her, don't want to face her, but I know I have to. She looks up as I enter, her expression unreadable. Morning, she says, like nothing happened. I want to scream at her, shake her, make her see what she's done, but I know it's pointless. I'm leaving, I say instead, my voice flat. I need some time to think. She just nods, taking a sip of her coffee. Take all the time you need, Mark. But remember, you started this. I don't respond. There's nothing left to say. I grab my keys and head out the door, the cool morning air hitting me like a slap in the face. I drive aimlessly for hours trying to clear my mind, but the thoughts keep coming back, relentless and unforgiving. Eventually, I find myself at a lawyer's office. The decision feels surreal, but necessary. I can't let her win. I explain the situation to the lawyer, showing him the footage. He nods, his face serious as he lays out my options. This won't be easy, he says, his tone grave. She's going to fight you on this, but with this evidence, we have a strong case. Are you sure you want to go through with it? I hesitate for a moment, the reality of what I'm about to do sinking in. But then I remember the look in her eyes, the way she taunted me. I can't let her get away with this. Yes, I say, my voice firm. I'm sure. The next few days are a blur of paperwork and meetings. I file for divorce, citing adultery, and my lawyer begins gathering evidence. Emily is served the papers 2 days later, and her reaction is immediate. She storms into my office, waving the papers in my face. You think this is going to work? She hisses, her eyes blazing with fury. You think you can just kick me out and take everything? You're delusional, Mark. I stand my ground, trying to keep my voice steady. You brought this on yourself, Emily. You made your choice. She laughs, a harsh, bitter sound. You have no idea what you've just started. I'll ruin you. I'll take everything you have, including our daughter. You'll be left with nothing. Her words send a chill down my spine, but I refuse to let her see it. We'll see about that, I say, my voice cold. This is going to court, Emily, and when it's over, you'll be the one left with nothing. The next few weeks are a nightmare. Emily makes good on her threats, using every dirty trick in the book to make my life hell. She spreads rumors, turning friends and family against me. She drains our joint accounts, leaving me struggling to cover the mounting legal fees. And worst of all, She tries to turn our daughter against me, feeding her lies about how I'm the one who broke up our family. I can feel the walls closing in, the pressure mounting with each passing day. Emily is relentless, and I'm starting to feel like I'm fighting a losing battle. But I can't give up. I won't let her win. The day of the party replays in my mind, a constant reminder of how quickly everything can change. One moment, I'm living a normal life, and the next, I'm locked in a bitter battle with the woman I once loved. But as the days turn into weeks, something in me hardens. I stop caring about what people think, about the lies Emily is spreading. I focus on the fight, on protecting my daughter and keeping what's mine. And then, just when I think things can't get any worse, Emily drops a bombshell. She's accusing me of domestic abuse. The accusation is a lie, of course, but that doesn't matter. In the eyes of the court, it's a serious charge, one that could ruin me completely. I'm stunned, speechless. I knew she was ruthless. But this is something else entirely. My lawyer is equally shocked, but he doesn't hesitate. We need to fight back, and fast. The evidence I've gathered, the security footage, the emails, the texts, it all comes down to this. We're going to court, and it's going to be ugly. But I'm ready. I have to be. The trial is looming, the tension thick in the air. I can't sleep, can't eat, can't think about anything else. This is it, the final showdown. And I know one thing for certain. No matter what happens, my life will never be the same. The moment I filed for divorce, I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I didn't expect it to become a war. Emily's response is immediate and brutal. She counters with her own legal team, a group of aggressive, sharp-eyed attorneys who seem hell-bent on taking everything from me, my house, my money, and worst of all, my daughter. I sit in my lawyer's office, staring at the papers spread out before me. She wants full custody, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. The words stick in my throat, heavy with fear. She's trying to take Sophie from me. My lawyer, a middle-aged man with a stern expression, nods grimly. She's playing hardball, Mark. We need to be prepared for a fight. She's making you out to be the bad guy here. And if we're not careful, the court might believe her. It's like a punch to the gut. I've been a good father, always there for Sophie, always putting her needs first. The thought of losing her is unbearable, but the reality of what's happening starts to sink in. Emily is determined to destroy me, and she's using our daughter as a weapon. The psychological warfare begins almost immediately. Emily spreads lies about me to our friends and family, painting me as an abusive, controlling husband. I hear the whispers, see the looks of pity and suspicion when I walk into a room. People who once greeted me with warmth now keep their distance, their eyes filled with doubt. I try to focus on my work, but it's impossible. The constant barrage of emails from my lawyer, the endless paperwork, and the looming court dates consume my every thought. My performance slips, and I can see the concern in my boss's eyes during our weekly meetings. The stress is taking its toll, but I can't afford to lose my job on top of everything else. Emily, meanwhile, is draining our bank accounts. Every day I watch as the numbers dwindle, the funds disappearing into legal fees and her extravagant lifestyle. She's living as though she's already won, buying expensive clothes, taking trips, and flaunting it all over social media. I'm left scrambling to pay my bills, the financial pressure mounting with each passing day. One evening after another grueling day at work, I come home to find Sophie crying in her room. I rush to her side, my heart breaking at the sight of her tears. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" I ask, pulling her into my arms. She sniffs, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "Mommy says you're going to take me away from her. Is that true, Daddy? Are you going to make me live with you forever?" My blood runs cold. Emily's been filling Sophie's head with lies, trying to turn her against me. I hold Sophie tighter, my heart aching. "No, sweetie, I would never do that. I love you, and I just want what's best for you. Mommy and we're going through something really hard right now, but it's not your fault. We both love you very much." Sophie nods, but I can see the confusion and fear in her eyes. Emily's manipulation is working, and I'm terrified that I'm losing my daughter. As the weeks drag on, I feel like I'm drowning. The legal battle is bleeding me dry, and Emily's relentless attacks are pushing me to the brink. I start to feel like a ghost, just going through the motions of my life. The laughter that once filled our home is gone, replaced by a suffocating silence. Sophie spends more and more time with Emily, and each time she comes back, she seems more distant, more guarded. One night, after Sophie has gone to bed, I sit in my darkened living room, a glass of whiskey in my hand. The weight of everything crashes down on me, and for the first time, I feel truly hopeless. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. I'm running out of money, out of energy, out of hope. But then something shifts inside me, a realization. This isn't just about me. This is about Sophie. I can't let Emily win. I can't let her take Sophie away from me. I have to fight. I have to find a way to survive this. The next day, I meet with my lawyer and lay it all out. We need to go on the offensive, I say, my voice steady for the first time in weeks. Emily is lying about me and we need to prove it. I have evidence, texts, emails, the security footage from the party. We need to use it. My lawyer nods, a spark of determination in his eyes. All right, Mark, let's do this. But be prepared, this is going to get ugly. And it does. The courtroom becomes our battleground, each day more grueling than the last. Emily's lawyers are ruthless, twisting every piece of evidence, every word I say, to paint me as the villain. But I hold my ground, determined not to let her win. Then comes the bombshell. Emily accuses me of domestic abuse. The accusation is a lie, of course, but it's a powerful one. The court takes it seriously, and suddenly the odds are stacked against me. My lawyer looks grim as he tells me the news. This could ruin us, Mark. If the court believes her, you could lose everything. I feel like the ground has been ripped out from under me. The accusation hits me harder than anything else she's done. I've never laid a hand on Emily, never even raised my voice to her in anger. But now I'm being painted as a monster. But then my lawyer suggests a risky move. We need to counter with the truth, Mark. We have evidence of her affair, of her manipulative behavior. It's risky, but it might be our only shot. It's a gamble, and I know it. But what choice do I have? I can't let her lies destroy me. Do it, I say, my voice firm. We need to fight back. The day we present the evidence is one of the most intense of my life. The courtroom is silent as the footage plays, showing Emily in the kitchen with her coworker, the kiss that started this whole nightmare. There are gasps from the audience, and I can see the shock on the judge's face. But it's not just the footage. My lawyer brings up the texts and emails, each one painting a picture of Emily's true nature. Manipulative, vindictive, willing to do anything to get what she wants. The turning point comes when a former friend of hers takes the stand, revealing the extent of Emily's deceitful behavior over the years. Emily's face pales as the evidence mounts, and for the first time, I see fear in her eyes. She realizes she's losing control of the narrative, and I can see her scrambling to regain her footing. The court adjourns for the day, and I finally feel like I can breathe. We've turned the tide, but I know the battle isn't over yet. There's still a long way to go, but for the first time in months, I feel like I have a chance. But then, as I'm leaving the courthouse, Emily confronts me. Her face is twisted with rage, her eyes wild. "You think you've won?" she hisses, her voice low and venomous. "You think this is over? I'll never let you take Sophie from me. I'll destroy you if it's the last thing I do." Her words send a chill down my spine, but I refuse to back down. "This isn't about you, Emily," I say, my voice cold. "This is about Sophie. And I'm not going to let you ruin her life because you can't stand losing." She glares at me, her hands trembling with fury. "You'll regret this, Mark. I swear, you'll regret this." As she storms off, I feel a mix of emotions, fear, anger, but also a strange sense of calm. I know the battle is far from over, but I also know that I'm not going to give up. I've come too far to back down now. The next few days are a blur of testimony, cross-examinations, and intense legal wrangling. but slowly I start to feel the tide turning in my favor. The evidence we've presented is too strong to ignore, and I can see the doubt creeping into the judge's eyes each time Emily's lawyers try to discredit me. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, the trial comes to a close. The judge takes a long moment to deliver the verdict, the courtroom tense with anticipation. When the words finally come, they're like a weight lifted off my shoulders. The judge rules in my favor. Emily is ordered to leave the house, and I'm granted custody of Sophie. The victory is bittersweet. I've won the battle, but the war has taken its toll on me. I feel drained, exhausted, but also relieved. It's over. It's finally over. As I walk out of the courthouse, I take a deep breath, the weight of the past few months starting to lift. I've survived the storm, but I know the scars will remain. Still, I'm ready to start rebuilding, ready to focus on the one thing that truly matters. Sophie. I'm sitting in my lawyer's office when the news comes through. My heart pounds as he tells me that Emily has filed a restraining order against me. The accusation? Domestic abuse. I'm stunned into silence, the words echoing in my head like a death sentence. She's claiming you've been physically and emotionally abusive, my lawyer says, his voice steady but tinged with concern. This is serious, Mark. If the court believes her, you could lose everything. Your job, your reputation, and most importantly, Sophie. The room spins. I grip the edge of the chair, trying to steady myself. It's all lies, I say, my voice trembling. I've never laid a hand on her. She's the one who's been manipulative, not me. I know, he says, leaning forward, but we have to prove that. We need to counter this with solid evidence, and it's not going to be easy. The court tends to err on the side of caution in these cases, especially when there's a child involved. Desperation claws at my chest. What do we do? He takes a deep breath. We need to be strategic. We'll use the evidence we've gathered, her affair, her behavior, but we'll also need to find witnesses who can testify to your character, people who can vouch for you. This is going to be a battle, Mark. Are you ready for it? I nod, but inside I'm terrified. My life is hanging by a thread, and Emily's determined to cut it. That night I confront her. I'm done playing defense. I need to take control, to fight back before she destroys me completely. I find her in the kitchen, the same place where this nightmare began. She's pouring herself a glass of wine, calm, collected, as if she hasn't just tried to ruin my life. Emily, I say, my voice cold. We need to talk. She looks up, a smirk playing on her lips. What now, Mark? Come to beg for mercy? My blood boils, but I force myself to stay calm. I know what you're doing. The restraining order, the accusations, it's all lies and you know it. But this time, you've gone too far. She laughs, a cruel, mocking sound. You think you can scare me? You're pathetic, Mark. This is just the beginning. By the time I'm done with you, you'll be lucky if you even get to see Sophie again. My heart clenches at the mention of Sophie, but I don't let her see how much it hurts. I'm not going to let you take her from me, and I'm not going to let you ruin my life with your lies. I have evidence, Emily. Of your affair, of your manipulation. You underestimated me. Her smirk falters just for a second, but it's enough. I press on, determined to make her see that I'm not backing down. We're going to trial, Emily, I continue. And when we do, everyone's going to see the truth. They'll see what kind of person you really are. She sets down her glass, her eyes narrowing. You really think you can win? You're delusional. No one's going to believe you over me. We'll see about that, I say, my voice firm. But I'm done playing your games. This ends now. For the first time since this whole nightmare began, I see fear in her eyes. She knows I'm serious, that I'm not going to let her destroy me without a fight. She's pushed me to my limit, and now I'm pushing back. The confrontation ends with her storming out of the kitchen, but I know the damage is done. The battle lines are drawn, and there's no turning back now. In the days leading up to the trial, the tension is unbearable. Every day feels like a tightrope walk, one misstep away from disaster. I spend hours with my lawyer, preparing our case, reviewing every piece of evidence, Every possible angle. It's exhausting, draining, but I know I can't afford to falter. Sophie's caught in the middle, and it breaks my heart. She's too young to understand what's happening, but I can see the confusion and fear in her eyes. Emily's poison has seeped into her mind, and I'm terrified that I'm losing her. I try to be there for her, to reassure her, but the constant legal battles and the strain on my mental health make it hard. The night before the trial, I lie awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. My mind is racing, filled with worst-case scenarios. What if the judge believes her? What if I lose everything? What if Sophie grows up hating me because of the lies Emily has told? I can't let that happen. I won't let that happen. I force myself to focus, to push the fear aside. I have to be strong, for Sophie, for myself. This trial isn't just about proving my innocence. It's about fighting for my daughter's future. The morning of the trial arrives, and the courtroom is tense with anticipation. Emily sits across from me, her expression cold and composed. Her lawyers are by her side, ready to tear me apart. But I'm not alone. My lawyer is with me, and so are the people who know the truth. Friends, colleagues, even some of Emily's former friends who've seen her true colors. The trial begins, and the accusations start flying. Emily's lawyers paint me as a monster, a controlling, abusive husband who's trying to rip his daughter away from her mother. It's painful to listen to hear myself described in such a way, but I force myself to stay calm, to focus on the truth. Then it's our turn. My lawyer presents the evidence, the security footage, the emails, the texts. Each piece chips away at the image Emily has tried to create, revealing the cracks in her story. The courtroom is silent as the footage plays, showing Emily's betrayal in stark, undeniable clarity. The turning point comes when one of Emily's former friends takes the stand. She testifies about Emily's manipulative behavior, her affair, her lies. It's damning, and I can see the doubt creeping into the judge's eyes. Emily's lawyers try to discredit the witness, but the damage is done. The facade Emily has built is crumbling, and she knows it. I can see the panic in her eyes, the way she's desperately trying to hold on to control. The trial drags on, each day more grueling than the last. But slowly, the tide starts to turn in my favor. The evidence is too strong to ignore, and the witness is too credible. Emily's lies are unraveling, and with them, her case. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, the judge delivers the verdict. It's a victory for me. I'm granted custody of Sophie, and Emily is ordered to leave the house. But the victory feels hollow. The battle has taken its toll, leaving me exhausted, drained, and numb. As I walk out of the courtroom, I feel a mix of relief and sadness. It's over, but at what cost? I've won, but the scars of the fight run deep. I've lost friends, I've lost trust, and in many ways, I've lost a part of myself. Emily is furious, of course. She glares at me as she's escorted out of the courtroom, her eyes filled with venom. "This isn't over, Mark," she hisses. "You'll regret this." I'll make sure of it. But her threats don't hold the same power they once did. I'm done being afraid of her. I've survived her worst, and I'm still standing. I know the road ahead won't be easy. There's still a long way to go in rebuilding my life, in healing the wounds this battle has left. But for the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe again. As I drive home, I think about Sophie, about the future I want to build for her. The war with Emily may be over, but the damage it's done will take time to heal. I know I need to focus on her, on being the best father I can be. She deserves that, and so do I. That night after putting Sophie to bed, I sit in the living room, staring out the window. The house feels empty, quiet, but not in the suffocating way it did before. It's a new kind of quiet, one that speaks of peace, of a fresh start. I know the battle has left me scarred, but it's also made me stronger. I've faced the worst, and I've come out the other side. Now it's time to rebuild, to focus on what truly matters. I'm ready to start that journey one step at a time. For Sophie, for myself, and for the future I know we deserve. The courtroom is colder than I expected, a stark contrast to the tension simmering just beneath my skin. I sit at the defendant's table, my hands clasped tightly in front of me. The trial has already been a marathon of stress, lies, and high emotions, and today is no different. It's the final stretch, and I can feel the weight of everything that's happened pressing down on me. Emily is sitting across from me, her expression blank, but I know her too well. Beneath that facade, she's seething, desperate to hold on to the control she's slowly losing. The lies she's spun are starting to unravel, and she knows it, but she's not going down without a fight. The judge calls the courtroom to order, and my lawyer rises to make his final arguments. He's good, steady, composed, and precise. He presents our case with an air of quiet confidence that I wish I could share. He outlines the evidence we've gathered, the testimony from witnesses, the damning emails and text messages that paint a picture of who Emily really is. Every word feels like a step closer to the truth, to justice, to getting my life back. But it's not just about winning, it's about survival. Emily has already taken so much from me, my peace, my trust, my sense of security, but she hasn't taken Sophie, and she won't. That's what this trial is really about. I glance over at the small gallery where Sophie is sitting with my parents. She looks so small, so fragile, and I know I can't let her down. Emily's lawyer takes his turn, spinning a story that I hardly recognize as my own life. He talks about my supposed abuse, about how Emily feared for her life, about how she was driven to her actions by my controlling behavior. It's a carefully crafted narrative designed to pull at the judge's sympathies, to cast me as the villain in this tragedy. I can feel the blood boiling in my veins, but I force myself to stay calm. Anger won't help me here. I have to trust in the truth, in the evidence, in the judge's ability to see through the lies. As the lawyer drones on, I find myself remembering the early days of our marriage, when everything was still good. I remember the way Emily used to look at me, the way she used to laugh, the way we used to be happy. It feels like a lifetime ago. That woman doesn't exist anymore if she ever did. The person sitting across from me now is a stranger, a cold, calculating stranger who will do anything to win. The closing arguments end, and the judge retires to deliberate. The waiting is agonizing. Minutes stretch into hours, each one heavier than the last. My lawyer tries to reassure me, but his words are drowned out by the pounding of my heart. Finally, the judge returns, and the courtroom falls into a tense silence. I hold my breath as he begins to speak, his voice steady and authoritative. He talks about the evidence, about the testimonies, about the serious nature of the accusations. Each word feels like it's dragging me closer to the edge of a cliff, and I'm terrified of the fall. And then, the verdict. The words hit me like a tidal wave. The judge rules in my favor. I've won. The relief that floods through me is so intense that it almost knocks the wind out of me. I've won. I'm keeping Sophie. Emily is ordered to leave the house. Her face is a mask of shock and disbelief, but I can see the anger simmering beneath the surface. She doesn't say anything as she's escorted out, but the look she gives me says it all. This isn't over for her. It might never be over. But for now, I've won. I've protected my daughter. I've kept my life from completely falling apart. I'm allowed a moment with Sophie before the rest of the legal formalities are handled. She runs into my arms and I hold her tightly, feeling the tears that I've been holding back finally spill over. "It's going to be okay, sweetheart," I whisper, my voice thick with emotion. "We're going to be okay. The trial may be over, but the battle has left me scarred. I feel the weight of the past months pressing down on me, the exhaustion, the emotional toll, the damage that can't be undone. I know that this victory is bittersweet. I've lost so much along the way. Trust, innocence, peace of mind. But I still have Sophie, and that's what matters most." We return home to a house that feels both familiar and strange. It's quiet, almost too quiet, without Emily's presence looming over us. But it's a peaceful quiet, A quiet that feels like the start of something new, something better. I take a deep breath, trying to shake off the lingering tension. Over the next few days, I begin the process of putting my life back together. There's so much to do. Legal paperwork to finalize, finances to sort out, routines to rebuild. But the most important thing is Sophie. I focus on her, on making sure she feels safe, loved, and secure. One evening, as I'm tucking Sophie into bed, she looks up at me with those big, innocent eyes and asks, "Daddy, is Mommy going to be okay?" The question catches me off guard, and I have to take a moment to compose myself. "Mommy's going through a hard time right now," I say gently. "But she loves you very much. We both do. And we're both going to make sure you're okay, no matter what." Sophie nods, seeming to accept my answer, and I kiss her forehead before turning out the light. As I close her door, I can't help but feel a pang of sadness. No matter what's happened, Emily is still Sophie's mother. And as much as I despise what she's done, I don't want Sophie to grow up hating her. The days turn into weeks, and slowly, life begins to settle into a new normal. I throw myself into my work, into caring for Sophie, into rebuilding the pieces of my shattered life. It's not easy. There are days when the weight of everything feels almost too much to bear. But I keep going, one step at a time. And then, one day, Emily shows up at the house. It's late in the afternoon and I'm in the middle of making dinner when I hear the knock at the door. I open it to find her standing on the porch, looking nothing like the woman I used to know. She's thinner, her face drawn and pale, her eyes hollow. She looks desperate, broken. "Mark," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. "Can we talk?" I don't want to let her in, but something in her voice, in her eyes, stops me. I step aside and she walks into the house, looking around as if seeing it for the first time. She sits down at the kitchen table, and I take a seat across from her, keeping my distance. "What do you want, Emily?" I ask, my voice hard. She flinches at the coldness in my tone but doesn't look away. I I need help," she says, her voice trembling. "I've lost everything, Mark. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go." I feel a surge of anger, but it's mixed with something else. Pity, maybe? She's done so much damage, caused so much pain. But seeing her like this, it's hard to hold on to the anger. "What did you expect, Emily?" I say, my voice softening just a fraction. "You tried to destroy me. You lied, manipulated, did everything you could to ruin my life, and now you want my help?" Tears fill her eyes and she looks down at her hand, which are trembling in her lap. "I know," she whispers. "I know I've done horrible things, but I'm lost, Mark. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm so sorry." For a moment, I don't know what to say. This is the woman who tore my life apart, who tried to take everything from me. But this is also the woman I once loved, the mother of my child. I wrestle with the decision, torn between anger and compassion, between wanting to see her face the consequences of her actions, and the part of me that can't help but feel sorry for her. "Emily," I say slowly, "I can't forget what you've done. But for Sophie's sake, I won't turn my back on you completely. You need to take responsibility for your actions, but I'll help you get back on your feet. For her." She looks up at me, hope flickering in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispers, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you, Mark." The interaction is intense, filled with unresolved emotions and the weight of our shared past. But as I watch her leave, I feel a strange sense of relief. This chapter of my life is finally closing, and though the wounds are still fresh, I know I've made the right decision. I've walked away, but I haven't turned my back completely. I've chosen to move forward, for my own sanity, for Sophie's well-being, and for the chance to start anew. As I close the door behind her, I take a deep breath, feeling the last remnants of the past begin to fade. It's over. The battle, the pain, the anger, it's all behind me now. And as I turn back to the life I've started to rebuild, I know Emily shows up at my door one last time. The knock is hesitant, almost uncertain, but there's a weight behind it that I can't ignore. I open the door, and there she stands. Emily, but not the Emily I once knew. She's a shell of her former self, thinner, worn down, her eyes dull and desperate. She doesn't wait for an invitation. She just steps inside, brushing past me like she belongs here, like she's trying to reclaim something she lost. I watch her, a mix of emotions churning inside me. Anger, pity, confusion. I don't know what she expects, but I know this isn't going to end the way she wants it to. Mark, she starts, her voice fragile, almost pleading. I need to talk to you. Please, just hear me out. I close the door behind her, keeping my distance. What do you want, Emily? She flinches at the coldness in my tone, but presses on. I've lost everything, she says, her voice trembling. The house, the money, my reputation. I'm homeless, Mark. I have nowhere to go. I need your help. There it is, the plea for mercy, the last-ditch effort to claw her way back into some semblance of stability. But it's too late. The damage she's done is irreparable. I feel a pang of pity for her, but it's quickly drowned out by the memory of everything she put me through, everything she tried to take from me. You expect me to help you? I ask, incredulous. After everything you did? After you tried to destroy me? She drops her gaze, tears welling up in her eyes. I know I don't deserve it. I know I've done terrible things, but I'm begging you, Mark. For Sophie's sake, I can't do this on my own. Sophie. She's using our daughter as a bargaining chip again, but this time it doesn't have the same impact. I won't let her manipulate me, not anymore. You think bringing up Sophie is going to change anything? I snap. You used her against me, tried to turn her against me. You lied, manipulated, and destroyed everything we had. And now you want me to just forgive you? To help you? Emily sobs, her shoulders shaking as she crumbles in front of me. I'm sorry, Mark. I'm so sorry. I was angry, hurt. I didn't know what else to do. I just wanted to win, to make you feel the pain I was feeling. But I never meant for it to go this far. I never meant to lose everything. I stand there watching her fall apart, and for a moment I'm torn. This is the woman I once loved, the mother of my child. But she's also the woman who tried to ruin my life, who pushed me to the brink, who made me question everything. I can't forgive you, I say, my voice firm. Not for what you did, but for Sophie's sake, I won't let you end up on the streets. I'll help you get back on your feet, but that's it. You're on your own after that. Her head snaps up, eyes wide with a mix of hope and desperation. Thank you, she whispers, tears streaming down her face. Thank you, Mark. I'll never forget this. Don't thank me, I say coldly. This isn't about you. This is about Sophie. And this is the last time I'm doing anything for you. She nods, wiping her tears away. There's a moment of silence, heavy with everything that's gone unsaid, with the weight of our past and the uncertain future that lies ahead. And then, just as quickly as she arrived, she's gone, slipping out the door without another word. As the door closes behind her, I feel a strange mix of relief and sadness. It's over. The chapter with Emily is finally, definitively closed. I've done what I can for her, for Sophie, and now it's time to move on. The days that follow are a blur of activity as I focus on rebuilding my life. There's so much to do, sorting out finances, making sure Sophie is okay, finding a way to move forward. But there's also a sense of peace, a calm that I haven't felt in a long time. The constant pressure, the fear, the anger, it's all starting to fade. One evening after putting Sophie to bed, I sit in the quiet of the living room, reflecting on everything that's happened. The house feels different now, lighter, more welcoming. It's no longer filled with the echoes of past arguments, with the weight of unresolved tension. It's just home. I think about Emily, about the person she became, about how we got to this point. There's still anger, still pain, but there's also a sense of closure. I've done what I needed to do for myself and for Sophie. I've faced the storm and come out the other side, battered but not broken. As the weeks pass, I focus on Sophie, on making sure she feels safe and loved. We start new routines, little traditions that are just ours. We bake cookies on Saturday mornings, take walks in the park on Sunday afternoons. It's simple, but it's healing. We're finding our new normal, and it feels good. One afternoon, as we're walking through the park, Sophie looks up at me, her eyes bright with curiosity. "Daddy, do you think Mommy will be okay?" The question catches me off guard, and I take a moment to think before answering. "I don't know, sweetheart," I say honestly, "but I hope she will be. She's got a lot to figure out, but I'm sure she'll find her way." Sophie nods, seeming to accept my answer, and we continue our walk in comfortable silence. I know she's still processing everything that's happened, and so am I, but we're doing it together, and that's what matters. As time goes on, I find myself thinking less about the past and more about the future. I start to imagine what life could be like, what I want for myself and for Sophie. The idea of a new relationship, of opening my heart to someone new, crosses my mind, but I'm not ready for that yet. There's still healing to be done, still lessons to learn, but I know that when the time comes, I'll be ready. I'll be stronger, wiser, and more prepared to build something real, something lasting. I've been through the worst, and I've come out the other side. Now it's time to start fresh, to create the life I want for myself and for Sophie. The final confrontation with Emily is behind me, and while the scars will always be there, they no longer define me. I've made my decision, and I know it's the right one. I've chosen to move forward, to focus on what's most important, to build a future that's grounded in love, trust, and honesty. As I sit in the quiet of the evening, the house peaceful around me, I feel a sense of contentment that I haven't felt in a long time. The storm has passed, and while the road ahead won't always be easy, I know I can handle whatever comes my way. I'm ready to embrace the future, whatever it may hold, with hope, strength, and the knowledge that I've made it through the worst. The chapter with Emily is over, and now it's time to start writing the next one. One that's filled with possibility, with growth, and with the love that Sophie and I both deserve. I sit in the quiet of the evening, the soft hum of the house settling around me like a blanket. The chaos that once filled these walls has finally subsided, leaving behind a calm that I'm still getting used to. It's a strange feeling, this peace. For so long, my life was a storm of anger, betrayal, and fear, but now as I sit here alone with my thoughts, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time: hope. The battle with Emily was brutal, and the scars it left are deep. But as I reflect on everything that's happened, I realize that those scars are a testament to my strength, to my ability to survive. I think about the person I was before all of this: naive, trusting, unaware of the storm brewing right under my nose. That man is gone, replaced by someone stronger, someone more aware of the world's darker sides, but also someone who has learned the value of resilience. I think about Sophie, asleep in her room down the hall. She's been my anchor through all of this, the one thing that kept me going when everything else seemed lost. She's the reason I fought so hard, the reason I refused to give up, even when the odds were stacked against me. I glance at the framed photo on the mantel. Sophie and me at the park, her laughter captured in a single moment of pure joy. That's what it's all been for. That's what matters most. As I sit here, the future no longer feels like a looming threat, but rather a blank canvas. I have the power to shape it, to create a life that's not defined by the pain of the past, but by the possibilities of tomorrow. The thought of starting over, of building something new, is both terrifying and exhilarating. But I know I'm ready. I'm ready to move on, to heal and to find happiness again. I think about the idea of a new relationship. It's been lingering in the back of my mind for a while now, but I haven't been ready to face it. The wounds from Emily's betrayal are still fresh, and the thought of opening myself up to someone new feels risky, almost dangerous. But as time passes, I find myself considering it more and more. I know that love isn't something to be feared, but something to be cherished, and I believe that one day I'll be ready to take that leap again. For now, though, I'm content to focus on Sophie, on rebuilding our lives, and on finding peace within myself. I've learned so much from this journey, lessons that I know will stay with me for the rest of my life. I've learned the importance of trusting my instincts, of standing up for myself, and of fighting for what's right. I've learned that it's okay to let go of the past, to forgive, not for the sake of others, but for my own sake, so that I can move forward without the weight of old wounds holding me back. As I sit in the quiet of the evening, I feel a sense of closure settling over me. The chapter with Emily is finally over, and while it wasn't the ending I expected, it's one I can live with. I've come through the storm, and now I'm standing in the sunlight on the other side. The future is wide open, and for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to see what it holds. I glance at the clock on the wall. It's late, but I'm not tired. Instead, I feel a strange sense of energy, of anticipation. There's so much to do, so much to plan, and I'm ready to dive in. I think about the new routines Sophie and I have started, the little traditions we've begun to build. They're small steps, but they're ours, and they're helping us create a new life, one that's filled with love, stability, and hope. I know that the road ahead won't always be easy. There will be challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But I also know that I'm stronger now, more resilient, more capable of handling whatever comes my way. I've faced the worst, and I've come out on the other side. I've learned that I can't control everything, but I can control how I respond, how I choose to move forward. As I stand up and stretch, I take one last look around the room. This house, once a battleground, has become a sanctuary. It's a place where Sophie and I can heal, where we can build new memories, where we can find joy in the little things. I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for the lessons this journey has taught me. I head down the hall to check on Sophie one last time before going to bed. As I peek into her room, I see her sleeping peacefully, her small chest rising and falling with each breath. I smile, feeling a warmth spread through my chest. She's my world, my reason for everything, and I know that no matter what happens, I'll always be there for her. As I close her door and head to my own room, I feel a sense of contentment settle over me. The storm has passed, and now it's time to enjoy the calm. I've survived the worst, and now I'm ready to embrace the best of what's yet to come. The story of my life with Emily has come to an end, but a new story is just beginning. It's a story of hope, of healing, and of the endless possibilities that the future holds. I'm ready to write that story, one day at a time, with Sophie by my side and a heart full of hope for whatever comes next.